In the quiet coastal town of Curlew Bay, in Western Australia, lived a boy named Asher Bennett, with sun-bleached hair and bright green eyes curious about the world. Asher was born to a modest family. His parents, both of Faroese descent, were hard-working fishermen. Though their lives were far from opulent, they valued honesty, labor, and kindness above all. From early childhood, Asher helped his parents on their small fishing vessel. He learned the tides, the sea's temper, and the art of repairing nets. Yet from age 8, he harbored a dream bigger than the open sea. He wanted to be an engineer, to build things that uplifted people's lives. School at Curlew Bay was rudimentary. The community school had limited resources, especially for math and science. Asher found himself drawn to the library's outdated textbooks, poring over diagrams of engines, circuits, and structures. With no internet at home, he made weekly treks into town to use public computers, where he explored free online tutorials and experimented with simple electronics kits. Though classmates teased him for being a bookworm, Asher's resolve only hardened. Encouraged by his class teacher, Mrs. Holcomb, he entered a regional science fair at age 12, presenting a makeshift water pump that recycled seawater into fresh water using solar heating. His idea wasn't perfect, but it won third place and, more importantly, ignited confidence. When Asher turned 16, his parents faced a crisis. A massive storm sank half their fleet, leaving debts. They expected Asher to abandon his plans and help full-time. Torn between family duty and his aspirations, Asher persevered. He offered to work on weekends and holidays so he could continue school and pursue his studies. Every morning before school, he labored hauling nets or cleaning boats, then raced to catch classes across town. On weekends, he slept little, alternating duties on the vessel and working on a small workshop he built in the garage. He salvaged metal scraps, circuit boards from junk TVs, and borrowed tools from a retired engineer in town to build prototypes of low-cost desalination units. Asher's tenacity finally paid off. When he was 17, an organization called Global Youth Innovators announced scholarships and fellowships for young inventors in rural or under-resourced regions. Applicants had to submit a project proposal and a personal essay. Encouraged by Mrs. Holcomb and a retired engineer, Mr. Dwyer, who wrote recommendation letters, Asher submitted his project, a solar-powered desalination pump that could produce clean water from brackish coastal wells, tailored for remote island communities. In his essay, he wrote, "I come from a family whose livelihood depends on the sea. We live near pristine shores, yet clean water is scarce. My aim is to build something not for profit, but to serve communities like mine, with dignity, with hope." To his astonishment, he was awarded the fellowship at age 18, a travel grant, mentorship, and seed funding to develop his prototype. The fellowship placed Asher at the University of Adelaide, where he joined engineering faculty. For the first time, he had access to labs, mentors, peers from diverse backgrounds, and structured coursework. Though he struggled initially, having largely self-taught himself until then, he adapted quickly. He spent long nights in the campus workshop, balancing financial hardships by working part-time at the student cafe. Every cent he earned went into replacing worn tools or printing parts for his prototype. Professors recognized his ingenuity and perseverance. One, Dr. Nguyen, invited him to co-author a paper presenting his desalination unit at a low-resource engineering conference in Melbourne. At the conference, Asher presented his work to an audience of academics, NGO leaders, and engineers. His simple, modular, replicable design earned respect and inquiries. He was encouraged by a nonprofit working with Pacific Island communities to try deploying his device in real-world conditions. With modest funding and logistical help from NGOs, Asher traveled to outlying islands in the Pacific, places like Kiribati and Tuvalu. These islands had desperate water shortages, especially during dry seasons. Asher and a small team assembled units using locally sourced materials, trained community members to operate and maintain them, and gathered feedback. Initial setbacks came quickly. In one island, faulty solar panels stalled production. In another, salt buildup clogged tubes. Yet Asher met each challenge calmly, improvising heat exchange coils from recycled aluminum cans, redesigning the filtration matrix with fern fibers, and adjusting orientation for better sun exposure. Within months, Island families reported success. Clean water pools that lasted weeks. Children who used to fetch water miles away could attend school more regularly. Hospital clinics had water for sterilization. Gardens thrived again. The joy in the communities was immeasurable. Despite progress, skepticism remained. Returning home one summer break, Asher faced criticism. Neighbors said he'd abandoned the fishing tradition. Some doubted this young dreamer could scale anything meaningful. His own doubts surfaced. Would his idea reach enough people? Could he truly bring systemic change with such limited funds? Once again, a mentor intervened. Mr. Dwyer reminded him, Asher, one drop of water makes ripples. Even if all you do is help one household or one school, you're changing lives. Don't discount your value. Reinvigorated, he applied to pitch a larger grant from an international sustainable development fund. His proposal scaled up the system, added rainwater catchment, improved filters, and included educational training for local technicians. When he was 22, Asher's proposal received substantial funding, enough to refine manufacturing and target other vulnerable coastal regions across Southeast Asia and the Pacific Northwest and North America. He established a social enterprise called Aquanova Solutions, employing local technicians and emphasizing community ownership, not charity. Under Aquanova, hundreds of units were deployed across remote coastal villages, from Cambodia to Alaska's Aleutian chain. Each deployment followed the same ethos: simple design, local materials, training locals for upkeep and respectful collaboration. The story of Aquanova reached global sustainable development outlets, earning awards and media attention. But even as his impact grew, Asher faced internal transformation. He learned humility. Not everything had to be perfect. He embraced failure as feedback. In one project in Cambodia, torrential monsoon rains flooded the entire setup, destroying infrastructure. Instead of retreating, his team stayed to help rebuild stronger systems and modify waterproof designs. He also developed empathy. Visiting communities taught him that technology alone wasn't enough. Social dynamics, cultural respect, and participatory decision-making mattered equally. He listened more than spoke. He grew into a thoughtful leader who mentored the next generation, young engineers aspiring to serve, hosting workshops online for free. Aquanova's open source designs inspired other makers' collectives. He partnered with NGOs, governments, universities, always advocating that technological empowerment must be equitable and accessible. By age 25, Asher Bennett's work had reached dozens of countries, affecting millions. He received recognition, invited to speak at the United Nations colleges and social innovation summits. Yet he remained grounded, returned to Curlew Bay whenever he could, teaching fishing families digital literacy, plumbing, robotics basics, whatever they wanted to learn. He also founded a scholarship for students from coastal or remote communities lacking access to education or technology. Many recipients later joined Aquanova as interns and innovators, continuing the cycle. In a TEDx talk, he stood before an audience and shared, "We often think that to help power millions, we need massive infrastructure. But sometimes a humble pump and a shared design can light up a classroom, save a life, bring dignity to a household. That's real engineering."